how's it going, folks? My name is Jared. The channel is Cali Cruising. We do everything outdoors. And in today's episode, I'm doing some upgrades on my rooftop tent. So I have the Go Fast Camper Superlite. It's an amazing tent, hard shell tent. And I'm going to be adding some lights to it and some power. So I have some LED strip lights that I'm going to add on the ceiling in kind of a U shape. And then I'm going to put some 12-volt power up there. I have some other little accessories that I'm working on, so it's going to be really cool. And this will also apply for pretty much any rooftop tent that you may have that has kind of a similar setup. Should totally work for you. So this is the perfect video, so you got to stay tuned. So here's the lights that I have. Just got these on a really good Amazon Black Friday deal. They change colors and they go with the music. Alright folks, we're back. It's the next day. I'm ready to install the lights. So first step that I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and hop up in the tent. I'm going to make some measurements and then I'm going to lay it out on the table and cut it according to the size and make sure everything works before I install it. That way we shouldn't have any issue. Okay, so my general idea was to start at one of these lower corners, work my way up, go over, and back down. So the power is obviously coming from the left side, but I have enough slack to where I can do it from either side. Okay, so I have about 78 to 80 inches coming down the legs, and I have it at 42 to 44 side to side. I figured that out based on these sides right here. I have about 4 inches on each side. So it just depends on the length of the electrical and how the lights are spaced out depending where you cut it. That's why I'm kind of writing rough measurements. So I'm going to go ahead, clear off the table, and get it all laid out. That way I can cut it to length. Okay, so I got my lights here. It's just some ones that I got on Amazon for a pretty good deal, decently rated. So open up the box. So we have a remote. Have a power adapter, which we're going to cut so that we can splice into a 12-volt socket or 12-volt plug. This is your control box, has an infrared sensor, and then this is where it hooks up to the strips, and of course the LED strips. So I'm going to lay these out, cut them to length real quick. Yeah, it works. How about that? So it's always important to test your lights out before you actually install them, and in this case they work. Okay, there we go. I'm trying to shoot for about 80 inches here, but the issue is that I'm actually longer than what I need. So either I have this one extra LED kind of hanging, or I can make this guy a little shorter, maybe a 72-inch cut. So only 6 inches less than I was really shooting for, so it might not be the end of the world. Okay, so now that I kind of got this figured out a little bit more and I got it all working, what I learned is that I'm going to mount this on the underside of the ceiling, just like the strip, and it's going to allow this infrared receiver to keep pointing towards the sleeping area, and this gives me an extra like 6.5 inches. So that 72 mark is totally fine. They give you a nice line in the center of the copper strip there. So I got some scissors. I'm gonna cut it. Just like that. Okay, so now I'm looking for anywhere from 42 to 44 in length for the centerpiece. Yeah, it looks like about 38 3/4 or all the way 51. So we're gonna have to do 38 3/4. So go ahead and cut it center of this strip. Beautiful. We need a 72 to match our first piece. There we go. About 71.5, so tiny bit shorter, but not a big deal. So I got this additionally from Amazon. These are some L-shaped 4-pin LED connectors, and it also came with some straight connectors. So I'll open this up and show you what we're working with. Okay, so now that I got my LED light strips cut, I just want to make sure that I'm lining up on these connectors. So you see how the 12 volt is on the very inside and the 12 volt positive is on the very inside, and you have your B on the outside and the B on this outside. Now this little plate I have isn't exact, but according to their manual and everything, it should be fine as long as my B is flowing through and my 12 volt positive is flowing through. So what you want to do is you just want to peel back a little bit of your foam sticky paper, just a little bit, just so you can basically flip it and you can slide it into this guy. Okay, so I got that guy in there. Now I'm going to put my adapter clip in the other side. Okay, so now you just get this guy in there, just like that. Beautiful. Make sure they're both tight, and then go ahead and shut the door. Hear that click? Okay, that's the first side. So now I'll just do the same thing here. Alright, so I got it all hooked up. It's hooked up to power. So you got it connected there. Connector there, and a connector under the tape measure. Go ahead and fire it up, see what happens. Oh, we got lights, folks. Oh, it made it to the corner, and it made it to the other corner. Let's go. Okay, so now that everything's kind of pre-cut, I'm gonna measure what my final width is, and just so I kind of know how to center it, and I'll go ahead and start installing. So you guys stay tuned. To mount this control box here, just got some Scotch, double-sided tape. Doesn't have to be this good, but I'm using it for other stuff, so that's why I got the Extreme. So I'm gonna put a piece here, and I'm also gonna put a piece on the corners here, on the piece of plastic here, because this is kind of a weak point and this is going to be flopping down. So I'm going to do that right now and then I'll get ready to install. Okay, so I got my tape on the back side of the controller. I put a small piece in each of the corners. So this is the 12 volt adapter that it came with, but since I'm not running 110 power, I'm just going to cut it right here and splice it. Here's my 12 volt plug. It has a fuse built in, has a little light here, which is cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut it right here so that we can splice these two together. Okay, got it cut. I'll go ahead and splice this real quick. Should be good. A little bit more on this one. There we go. Now, hopefully that there's a red and a black in this, as I'm kind of cutting this blindly, but hey, let's see what happens. Boom. Yep, we got 2 wires in there. Not sure if you guys can see or not. Okay, so I'm going to try to knife through the center of these 2 wires, try to split it from the insulation. Oh boy, these are some thin wires. Holy crap. Hopefully I can make this connection work. 20 gauge won't even grab it. Thanks a lot, Amazon. Okay, so since the wires are so thin, I'm actually going to fold them back on themselves, try to thicken it up a little. That's why I strip so much insulation off. So, kind of like that. A twist. See what we can come up with here. A little bit better. Hopefully it should work. Okay, so now that I got all my wires crimped, go ahead and slide on some heat shrink before I do my connections. A piece of red and a piece of black. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and crimp the plug side first. So I have a 16 to 22 heat shrink connector. Crimp it. Make sure you get a really good connection. Perfect. Do the same thing here to the positive. Perfect. So we'll go positive to positive. Beautiful. And give this a good crimp. solid. Do the same thing with the positive. Very good. So next step, you're going to want a heat gun. I'm going to go ahead and shrink the connectors first and then the shrink wrap. Last but not least, I'm going to add just one more piece of heat shrink over both of these to make it extra clean install. Yeah. That right there is why you invest in heat shrink. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys can see it because it's a little bright, but I got some dirt up on my ceiling here. So I'm going to take a little bit of alcohol, wipe it off. Okay, so as a first step, I'm obviously starting at the top because I want it to be centered. So I'm just going to go the width of this tape from the zipper down, just about 2 inches or so. So it'll be about 2 inches down, and that's where I'm going to start my lights. So the tape will not only allow me to mark the center point, or rather the edge of each corner, but also keep me parallel to the zipper, because hey, why not make it nice and straight if you can, right? Okay, so I got the tape on. I got my mark for the end right there. It's that one on the right hand side. And then right there I got my mark. I'll try to set up a good camera angle for you guys. Hopefully you can see it, but hopefully you understand kind of the process here also. Okay, so now we're gonna start installing our centerpiece here. Just gonna start by getting the long pieces, make it to where you can just reach the paper easily. Do that on both sides. And just like that, got it on. That was not too bad, you know, just take your time, go nice and slow. I'll give you guys a look here. So here's the strip. You know, a couple areas you kind of have to come back and put some pressure, not a big deal, but overall, turned out really nice. It was all the way down there. Of course, this yellow thing is not centered, but big deal. I love that you got the cool little pocket for the remote. So now I'm gonna get this receiver mounted. It actually ended up being on the right hand side. Okay, so I got the control box mounted deep into the corner with some double-sided tape. You got the you got your infrared sensor right here in view, so the remote control will work. And here you're hooked up to the strips. All right, we're up here in the tent. So here's our wires. Have our SAE connector that's stubbed out through the zipper here. So this is what I'm gonna be connecting to first. Okay, I got that connection made. I'm gonna coil up this cord here and zip tie it. That way it's nice and neat in the corner. I didn't really need this much extension, but I wanted to have more than I needed. So I was just getting ready to zip tie and I realized I have voltage. Let's go, I'm at 12.7. My battery is charged. Okay, so I got my wires a little bit more tighty. So I'm gonna try to tuck it back here, show you guys kind of what I'm working on. As much out of the way as possible. I mean, you're always gonna have this wire kind of dangling there, but at the same time, you kind of go something like that. As long as people can access and plug in their phones or whatever you need up here, it should be fine. I mean, I'm really happy. So now I'm gonna route this wire underneath the mattress here around to the plug. Just like that, we have lights, folks. Let me shut the tent so you can see what it looks like. All right, guys, a little bit later on. Not quite dark out, but I figured if the tent is zipped up, should be able to kind of show you, and I'll still show you when it's really dark as well. Got the launch edition, go fast. Let's hop up here. All right, let's fire this up, see what happens. Whoa, let there be light. Dang, this looks sick. Not sure how it looks on camera. Yeah, it looks a little buzzy, but wow, this is awesome. I'll check it again when it gets really dark too. All right, a little darker as you guys can see. Now let's see how the lights look. Whoa! Dang! We got light in here. All right, let's check it out. No light? With light. Oh yeah. And I'm not even actually in here. Turned out so good. These lights are so cool, nice and clean. The benefit of a system like this is that it's a hard install, as in hardwired. You don't have to like get it out every time. You don't have to find it or recharge it. Everything here is going to be like a seamless system. So yeah, I'm super pumped on that. Wow, this is a great upgrade. All right, here's a view of the tent from the outside. Got the doors open. Wow. So cool. Whoa, that's so cool. I love it. So yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today. So, you know, adding lights and 12-volt power to your rooftop tent is no easy task, but it's definitely worth it. As long as you follow this guide, you should be pretty much fine. I'll be sure to leave everything in the link below. That way you guys can find what you're looking for or even alternatives to it. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see other content like this, please like and subscribe. Leave a comment below if you have any questions. My name is Jared. The channel is Cali Cruisin'. Until next time, peace.